We are Pro Cannabis Media.
All right, let's get on the phone with our last guest tonight on We Talk Live. It's Eric Kaufman. He is the Chief Revenue Officer for DAMA Financial. Is it DAMA or DAMA Financial, Eric?
Neither.
DAMA.
DAMA Financial.
Thank you very much. That was my third choice.
To preempt your question, I will be in Vegas.
Awesome.
All right, good. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about DAMA Financial and how it works and why I see DAMA Financial in all these periodical magazines and I see them, marketing their product everywhere. Tell me a little bit about and why they are so cannabis friendly.
Great. Well, thank you for the perfect tee-up opening question. So let me give you the 30,000-foot overview of who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So DAMA Financial is the first, and to my knowledge, to date, the only truly transparent, compliant banking solution for the cannabis industry. Just by way of background, we are not cannabis people. We're banking and payments industry veterans, which is what I think you want when you're dealing with this side of the business. Our two co-founders had taken two companies public in that space, each for over $1 billion. But the important thing to note there is both of those companies, one of the fundamental value propositions was moving a cash-based economy to a bank and digital economy. And really, that's all we're doing here. So it's the third iteration of something we've done before. And what we do at DAMA is we find state-chartered, FDIC insured banks that make both a risk-based and a board-level decision that they want to bank cannabis. But with that, understand that they don't necessarily have the wherewithal to do it on their own. And what it is really compliance. So they partner with DAMA Financial, and we run the cannabis program on behalf of that bank. So we do all the application processing, all the onboarding, all the operations, customer servicing. And in exchange, what that means for the customer, the end user, and whether that's a cultivator, distributor, manufacturer, retailer, delivery network, they end up with an FDIC-insured bank account in their name at a bank that knows they're banking cannabis.
That's
and
fair.
Along with
go ahead. Keep going. You're doing great.
No, thank you.
I know your business well.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much. And along with that, what we're able to do is provide a whole suite of products and services to enable the cannabis industry to operate just as if it were a non-cannabis industry. At the outset, what we started to do was solve for the most pressing matter, which was a bank account. We've done that, right? And now we're commoditizing that. And what we've been able to do is bolt on all of these other products and services to enable or really build the critical financial architecture for the industry. And that includes your traditional bank account, interest-bearing account, escrow account. We have bill pay by check, ACH, or wire, can accept funds those same three ways, Armor card, cash pickup and processing. We launched a proprietary merchant processing and digital consumer wallet called PayTender. Think of it as the Venmo meets the Starbucks app. Yeah. It's a game changer for retail, whether that's in-store, online for e-commerce, or home delivery. There was an announcement that we partner with BioTrack to roll out across their entire POS network. We also made an announcement we're powering the back end of Americanics, which is a cannabis commodities trading platform. And we're able to power that by providing trading accounts and escrow accounts. So as you could see, kind of rounding out all the services needed to enable the industry to operate a lot more efficiently than obviously it has in the past.
Hey, Eric, this is Curt with Cannabis.net. The common statement that is prolific on LinkedIn and elsewhere is, quote, anyone that tells you they can get you a cannabis merchant account or bank account legitimately in the United States is lying. They have to go through all these shell companies in Europe and call it something else. Are you telling me that is not true now?
I'm telling you that is not true. This is all we do all day long. All we do is bank cannabis as a partner of our sponsor banks. And we run that program on behalf of a number of banks. If you are a licensed operator, you can go through our application process. I will tell you it's not easy. It's a stringent process. But if you make it through, you end up with a truly transparent and compliant bank, and you get all those other services that come along with it.
Is the cannabis industry, a dispensary, for example, considered a high-risk merchant?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even though the chargeback rate would be almost nil, it's just because it's cannabis and federal law?
Well, it's also, look, if you look at it, the issue becomes money laundering and other issues that are prevalent in high or cash-intensive industries. Even the alcohol industry. If you look at the alcohol industry, roughly 30% of that industry still operates in cash. Now, that's not Coors, InBev, or Diageo, but if you think of all of the local liquor stores and bars. So the alcohol industry is a high-risk industry, which is why only 4 major banks on any scale touch it. Right? Many banks touch it, but only 4 of the major banks touch it on any scale because of compliance. So if you think about the compliance around alcohol, you can imagine the compliance around cannabis is significantly greater. And that's a heavy lift for a bank.
I want to ask you about the U.S. House of Representatives passing the Safe Banking Act and throwing it over to the Senate next. And needless to say, they've got their hands full with other things down in Washington, D.C. these days. But what if that Safe Banking Act passes, what effect might it have on DAMA?
Well, first, just so we're clear, we believe all legal cannabis businesses should have access to traditional banking. A strong proponent of legislation. I think the issue with the SAFE Act, and by the way, it was a no-brainer it was going to pass the House, right? It was dominant, 321 to 103, I believe it was.
Yep.
And nearly all the Democrats backed it, as did a number of Republicans, I think over 90. So now it goes to the Senate. Will it pass there is anyone's guess, but eventually something will pass sooner than later. What we want to pass is the right act. The way it's currently written is not so great. It has a lot of vulnerabilities. It's vague. It leaves room for interpretation. It can allow for a number of bad actors to penetrate the banking system. And it only takes one bad one to bring the whole thing down, and that's not what we want. So here, uncertainty is not a benefit. We need something with teeth. We need really clear rules and regulations, and it has to be black and white. So we actually spend a lot of time trying to help shape that, and we would like something to pass. Just needs to be the right thing. And, as I alluded to before, if and when something does pass, that's a great thing. As I mentioned, only 4 major banks bank alcohol on any scale. So once this passes, I think you will find more banks interested in getting involved in the cannabis industry. And for us, that just means more opportunities to partner with those banks and help run that compliance program and the cannabis program on their behalf.
If a neophyte consumer came to you, Eric, and said, I want to use my PayPal or Venmo account to buy cannabis, what would you say to them? Is that group a friend or a foe to your financial plan?
Well, they wouldn't be able to use it through us, and eventually their account would get shut down. You see a lot of dispensaries using workaround solutions, for electronic payment or merchant processing, and it works until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's incredibly disruptive to their business. We know that as a retailer, if you're not taking some form of electronic payment, your sales dip by roughly 30%. So to have that interruption to your business is really obviously not a good thing. So what you want to do is find a solution that's sustainable, which we have with PayTender. That's our own plug right there. So thank you very much.
No problem.
That's what we're here for. We appreciate that. We also want people in the cannabis industry to tell their stories, so we give that opportunity. But I'd be remiss, Eric, if I didn't bring up the fact that you had a lengthy career as a sports agent. Is that true?
This is true, and also a lengthy career, or shall I say, experience working with New England Patriots.
So that's interesting. Anyone in particular we might know?
Yeah, sure. I worked with Willie McGinnis, Adam Vinatieri, Troy Brown, Brandon Spikes, Chad Eaton, Mike Jones, Steve Israel, your kicker today, Nick Folk.
Yeah.
And I worked with Pete Carroll. So long history with the New England Patriots.
That's why I recognized your name, by the way.
How did you talk about getting over to cannabis.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's good. It's good.
You talk about moving over to cannabis and how your co-founders were not cannabis guys, they were banking guys. How did this group get to the let's do cannabis from already having $2 billion startups? When did the light bulb go off, or what happened in your lives where we can solve this cannabis problem?
Well, like I said, the 2 prior companies were payments and banking related companies, and both of those companies they were moving cash-based economies to banked and digital economies. And when they looked at cannabis, they said, hey, here's another opportunity to do it again. Sure, every industry has its own particulars, but fundamentally it was same value proposition that they had executed on twice before. So it just made organic sense to make the move.
And did you have any reservations, or your family or wife, when you said, hey, honey, I'm going to go into the cannabis banking space? Any neighbors, any brother-in-laws give you a funny look?
Fair question, but no, I'm in California.
Oh, there you go.
I could have told you that too. So I got to ask, since Curt took that, I'm going back to the sports agent thing, Eric, because now you got me thinking. So the first question, of course, is you were a sports agent. Why did you stop doing that?
I did it for roughly 20 years, so it was time for a change and a new challenge.
Did you know Kristen Kaliga at all?
Sure. Worked with her many years ago, because I believe it was Willie McGinnis that we worked together on, probably in the, late 90s, early 2000s.
I'm sure you know, you've heard the legend of Bob Wolf, right? I mean, you have to. Right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course.
He was bar mitzvahed with my uncle. I don't know why I know that. That's just I do. And I just thought,
well, mazel tov.
Thank you very much. Eric Kaufman, is there anything else about DAMA Financial that you think makes it the place you should go if you're in the cannabis business? That's where you should put your money? One last sales call.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are a truly compliant and transparent banking solution. If you want to operate your business efficiently and have something that's sustainable and be able to grow your business, whether it's through merchant processing or lending, and just be able to operate your business, essentially as if it were a non-cannabis related business, we are the solution.
Terrific.
It's as simple as that.
That's it. That's a great thing. Eric, Eric Kaufman from DAMA Financial, the Chief Revenue Officer. They're in good hands, I can tell, because you're a sharp dude. And I just can't believe you're out in California now, but that's okay. It's okay. We understand. Somebody has to live there, right? And,
our winters are rough, but I'm enduring it.
Yeah, I bet. I think I woke up, it was 13 degrees this morning when I looked at the thermostat. Anyway, Eric Kaufman, thank you so much again from DAMA Financial, and tell Stephanie thank you too as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.